There is a picture, a dizzying portrait of a singular moment, a snapshot of sheer bedlam and joy. It is happiness and madness and football and wild youth. There are hands reaching up, there is laughter and disbelief, and people are taking pictures because they want the moment to last forever. When the dirty blanket of despair threatens to cover him up, swallow him whole, a fog so thick that he can't see, can't breathe. When talking about the kid doesn't help, when talking about anything else doesn't make sense, he sits here and watches. When the constant craving to hold her boy, to touch his hair and his face and feel his arms around her, to soothe his fears in the way that only a mother can, when the dull weight of sorrow feels like it might grind her into tiny pieces, she comes here. It is a place called the Palouse, and the rolling wheat fields you will find there are like a living sea. Wave upon wave of golden grain sways in the hot breeze of eastern Washington. It is the richest wheatland in the world, and it forms a curious and stunning kind of beauty. And plopped down in the middle of the wheat dunes is a school. There is a country soulfulness to the place. It is home to a fierce underdog mentality, a stubborn, prideful sense of us against the world. It is Washington State University. In the photo, a young man has been hoisted onto the shoulders of his teammates, and they're carrying him off the field. He is floating on a sea of happiness, awash in glory and love, and we see only the back of his head and the name Holinsky and the number 3 on his back. To look at the picture is to be swept away into a dream come to life. The boy is Tyler Holinsky, and he is on top of the world. The picture is beautiful, and the boy is gone. What these eyes have seen, no boy should ever have to see. What hunger his belly has known, the lowest animal should never have to endure. Daniel Mayen will not, cannot forget what it was like when he was lost.
You want to look at these?
This man's name is Mawoot. He lives in Everett, and his life is full and busy, with a wife named Grace and 3 children and a nephew living with them as well. He has a particular interest in Daniel Mayen's story. It has touched him and changed him. There were 12,000 of them, Daniel among them, walking through the deserts of war-ravaged Africa. Their parents either dead or missing. They were refugees from the war in Sudan between North and South, Muslims and Christians. They were called the Lost Boys of Sudan. Theirs was an exodus of biblical proportions. When he can, Mawoot sends money to South Sudan so that more children don't have to go through what Daniel Mayen went through.
It's difficult to block it out, to be honest with you.
Go! At Linwood High School now, Daniel is on the track team. He works hard and tries to fit in.
Do students ask you? Do students want to know about this stuff?
Yeah, they want to know about this, and they ask me if I saw the dead body or whatever. So I told them I already saw 1,000 of them, not only one.
Mawoot is haunted by Daniel Mayen's story. He can't escape it. He too is from South Sudan. He too is a member of the Dinka tribe.
It's an incredible piece of life that I have here compared to what it could have been if I were still back over there.
As he tends to his work, he thinks about Daniel.
And they came shooting us, they don't care, they just shoot everybody.
1,000 children were murdered in their sleep. Another 1,000 lost boys drowned trying to escape across the Gilo River. Finally, Daniel and the survivors reached a United Nations camp in a place called Kakuma.
You have to go like 3 days without eating anything, and maybe you're gonna eat today and you go for 3 days and then you eat another day so you can go on.
So you would have 1 cup of corn for how many days?
For 15 days, that is 2 weeks.
See, I can't even believe that.
You can believe.
Look at Daniel's face. Look at the eyes, the markings. Look at Mawut. They are, you see, the same person. Mawut is Daniel.
It is absolutely two completely different lives.
We originally aired this story about him 18 years ago. Mawut went by Daniel then because he wanted to assimilate.
A long time.
It's been a long time, my friend. We wanted to come back and meet him again to see what had become of the lost boy.
It almost feels to me like there's Mawut
And there's Daniel.
and there's Daniel.
Yeah, it's the same person.
After Linwood High, he went to Seattle Pacific and studied hard and kept going. He got his master's in engineering from WSU. He went back to Sudan and met Grace, and he brought her here, and they were married. To call it all a dream come true would be inaccurate, even naive. Children have dreams, but Mawut Mayen never had the luxury of being a child.
How could you have a dream when you barely don't even have a food to eat? How do you dream about doing something important in your life?
18 years ago when we talked, I asked him about being saved and brought to America.
Because when I found everything, they say made in America, made in America. So I say I want to go where people made all these things.
And isn't life funny? Now he is one of the people making all these things, big things, like 787 Dreamliners. He was recently promoted to senior manager at Boeing.
So my current job is to build this airplane on time, get all the parts here, build it on time, and roll it out at this factory. That's what I do on a daily basis. Sometimes I reflect back and I just can't believe it happened that way. I'm one of the lost boys of Sudan.
When the people at Boeing had a centennial celebration and they were looking for someone to inspire the workers.
When I was 4 years old, I was separated by a civil war from my parents.
They asked Mawut Mayen to stand up and talk about his journey.
I walked miles after miles looking for safety.
And he talked about what it was like when he had nothing in this world except desire.
So I went to school when I could, and I learned English when I could. That paved my way.
Do you think about it?
All the time.
What do you think about the most?
I think about, it's all about my family right now, the children. If they're not gonna go through what I went through, they will have a better life.
His children will never know hunger. Their hearts will never know terror. But of course their father, Mawut Mayen, a boy who was lost and then found, has seen enough for all of them.
I hope they will learn from what I had gone through. It's a history that's not gonna disappear. So they will take that and they will improve their life with that story.
Eckstein Middle School on a fall Friday afternoon. Maxford Brown is among the first to get to the gym. He loves his school, loves it when all the kids get together to make some noise. There's something about this kid. People just want to make him happy.
What's your favorite thing about Eckstein Middle School?
They do sports assemblies and dress up.
It's because he is earnest and enthusiastic and heart-meltingly sweet.
What's that you got?
It's a script.
It's a script? What's that? What's it about?
I have a mascot for the school.
Maxford has a thing about mascots. He loves them and always has. Mrs. Gdansky figured that out early on.
One of the first things he told me is when I grow up, I want to be a professional mascot. That was like his goal.
So how come there's no mascot?
Because they do, but it's the Eagles, but they don't have a costume yet.
His little brother Zach knows all about the mascot thing too.
So like he wrote like a letter when he was like in 6th grade.
Dear clip in the USB. My name is Max Brown, and in 8th grade at Eckstein. I think we have a team mascot for the Eagles. One reason we still have a team mascot is because it would make the school more fun.
You've put a lot of thought into this, haven't you?
I typed this in 6th grade, then I did like I typed this in 6th grade, 7th grade, then in 8th grade, then I'll do it.
Hold it. So for 3 years, you've been trying to get a mascot at this?
Yeah.
What?
And nobody was brought back to my logo.
Sitting there waiting for the assembly to start, maybe Maxford was thinking about this being his last year at Eckstein. Or maybe he thought about last year and all the time he spent in the hospital dealing with life's complications.
We'll just have kind of 2 of you in front of each section.
When Mrs. Port became the ASB leadership advisor, she heard about Maxford's quest.
I went and ordered the costume, or the uniform, and was in contact with his family and said, we have the money and this has been approved, so we're gonna make this dream happen as last year here. I've got the costume hidden in here. It arrived a couple of weeks ago.
The rest of the kids showed up. The Roosevelt High School cheerleaders were there and everything. And when everybody was seated, there was Max, still sitting in that front row. And that's when something extraordinary happened.
We would like to start the assembly off with acknowledging a fellow student of ours who we have a very special surprise for.
Maxford, can you come on down?
Then here came a couple of bears making a special delivery, a box with a costume, followed by the Mariner Moose himself, holding up an eagle's head. The moose made a lap and then placed it onto Maxford's head. You're looking at the last moment before the kid became a real mascot. There were cheers and the moose clapped, and Maxford must have been thinking, now what? In the locker room, moments later, Dad helped him get suited up.
This is my dream to be on this mascot for the school. And this my dream forever. That this become my famous now. My famous.
It was time to earn his wings, but Max was nervous, unsure of himself, and his beak kept getting in the way. He was having trouble seeing, and that big sign wasn't helping much. But bravely, he walked out, energized by all the cheering, but blinded by the noise. For a moment, the Eckstein eagle seemed paralyzed with fear. But his new friend, the moose, taught him how to fly. And right there in the Eckstein gymnasium, a star was born. Max's mom and dad were watching, and it was a dream come true for them too. When it was time to dance, the kids were getting into it, and the moose and Maxford shaking his tail feathers for all the world to see.
Hey, buddy, you did good, bud. You did it.
Something extraordinary indeed had happened at Eckstein, something pure. A whole gym full of kids learned about the very best kind of happiness, somebody else's. That somebody was Maxford Brown, earnest and enthusiastic, heart-meltingly sweet, and oh yeah, the first and the best mascot that Eckstein Middle School will ever have. The Holinsky family is afraid that their son will be forgotten, but that won't happen. Moving forward through the years, wherever it is that Cougs get together to talk about great games, exhilarating moments, his name will be uttered with equal parts awe and regret. They'll talk about the quick release, the quick smile, the fearlessness, the time he was carried off the field, the disease that stole him away. They'll remember the folk hero turned cautionary tale, the bright light consumed by a mystifying darkness. And they'll talk about conversations that were had, and stigmas that were shattered, and lives that were saved. They'll talk about Holinsky's legend, Holinsky's tragedy, and ultimately, Holinsky's hope. Tyler won't be forgotten, because he was a Coug. And Cougs take care of Cougs.